everybody, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. You know how much we love to just get right into the heart of a really interesting topic, and that's what we're going to be doing today with phrasal verbs.
Oh yeah, phrasal verbs are so fascinating.
They're like the secret code of the English language, right? I mean, if you really want to unlock fluency and sound like a natural speaker, you got to master these things.
Absolutely. And what I find so intriguing is how they add these like subtle layers of meaning that you just wouldn't get from a simple definition.
Yeah, you can't just like look them up in a dictionary and be done with it. It's all about the context, how they're used in real conversations.
Exactly.
Which is perfect because for this deep dive, we've got this document.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
With 50 common phrasal verbs, and it gives all these great examples of how they're used in different situations. So we're going to kind of like go through these and see if we can really unpack the nuances.
That sounds like a plan.
Okay, I'm already noticing some phrasal verbs on this list that look incredibly similar but have totally different meanings. Like seriously, how are you supposed to keep these straight? Take off, turn up, and look up. Like
That's the challenge, isn't it? I mean, that's what makes them so tricky, but also so interesting. It's all about the context.
Okay, so give us an example. Like, how would you explain the different meanings of take off to someone who's maybe just starting to learn English?
Well, I mean, the most obvious one is the literal meaning of a plane leaving the ground, right?
Yeah.
Like when you say the plane is taking off.
Yeah, okay, that one's pretty straightforward.
But then you have all these other meanings, like take off can also mean to remove clothing.
Like, take off your coat, it's warm in here.
Exactly. Or it can mean to suddenly become successful. Like our business really took off after we launched that new product.
So like a meteoric rise to success.
Precisely. And then you have the informal use, like when you're imitating someone in a humorous way, you might say you're taking them off.
Oh, so it's like a playful kind of imitation. Okay, wow, that's a lot of meanings for one little phrasal verb.
It is. And that's just one example.
And that's why context is so important. You really have to pay attention to the surrounding words and the situation to figure out which meaning is intended.
Right.
Okay, I'm starting to see how tricky these can be, but honestly, some of these phrasal verbs make me cringe a little. The ones related to relationships like break up, split up, get along, make up, like just hearing those words brings back memories of like awkward conversations and teenage drama.
Oh, I can totally relate to that. I mean, they deal with some pretty intense emotions.
Right.
But what's fascinating to me is how these phrasal verbs can actually make those conversations a bit less formal,
Less formal or just more confusing? I'm not sure I want to mix up breakup with makeup. That could lead to some serious misunderstanding.
Oh, for sure. You got to be careful with those. But I think they offer a way to talk about these sensitive topics in a way that feels more natural.
Okay, so it's like using a softer touch when you're dealing with something delicate.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is how these phrasal verbs can have different connotations in different cultures.
Absolutely. Like in some cultures, it might be considered really blunt to just say, we broke up. They might use a phrase like, we decided to go our separate ways, which sounds a lot gentler.
Yeah, it's like there's this whole cultural dance happening within these phrasal verbs.
That's a great way to put it.
It's not just about the words themselves. It's about how they reflect different values and communication styles.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm definitely starting to see phrasal verbs in a whole new light. It's like they're linguistic ambassadors bridging the gap between cultures.
I love that analogy.
All right, let's move on before I get lost in a sea of relationship drama. I'm noticing a bunch of phrasal verbs on this list that seem to revolve around tasks and errands, like pick up, drop off, take out, look for. It's like a never-ending to-do list.
Oh, yeah. These verbs really capture the logistical side of daily life.
It's like we're constantly just moving stuff around.
And what's fascinating is how these seemingly mundane verbs have become even more central to our vocabulary with the rise of things like delivery apps and the gig economy.
Yeah, that's so true. Like I can order in food, pick up groceries, drop off laundry, all with a few taps on my phone.
Exactly. It's like they've become the linguistic backbone of our on-demand culture.
And it's not just digital either. I'm always picking up and dropping off kids and groceries and dry cleaning.
Right.
It's like a never-ending cycle of errands.
It is. But it's also a testament to how language adapts to reflect the changing world around us.
Okay, before we get too bogged down in errands, I'm relieved to see some more positive phrasal verbs on this list, like look forward to, get over, even turn in, as in an assignment. Hopefully a good one.
Yeah, those are good ones.
These verbs seem to capture a sense of hope, accomplishment, even a little bit of relief. What stands out to you from this more upbeat collection?
Well, I think what's interesting is how these verbs can be used to not only describe our own experiences,
Yeah.
but also to encourage and support others. Like instead of just saying, good luck with your presentation, you could say, I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
Oh, that's a great point. It's like you're not just acknowledging the past, but you're also expressing genuine interest and support.
Exactly. And that can make a big difference in how someone feels about taking on a challenge.
It's like you're giving them a little boost of confidence.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got phrasal verbs for like awkward relationships and never-ending errands, and even for spreading a little bit of positivity.
And those are just a few examples. We've only just begun to explore the rich tapestry of phrasal verbs in the English language.
I know, right? This is making me realize just how much depth and nuance there is to these seemingly simple phrases.
It is. And the more you learn about them, the more you appreciate the beauty and complexity of English.
Well said. We've got so much more to explore, so let's take a quick break and come back for more phrasal verb fun in just a bit.
Sounds good to me. You know, it's fascinating how phrasal verbs can sometimes reflect like a cultural perspective.
Oh, really?
You were just talking about those positive ones. And one that comes to mind is, hold on.
Okay.
It's such a common phrase, but it kind of speaks to this proactive, can-do attitude, that's often associated with certain cultures.
So you're saying even a simple phrase like hold on can reveal deeper cultural values.
Absolutely. Like in some cultures, it might be more common to express patience. Like acceptance of circumstances you can't control. You might hear phrases like, let's wait and see, or it is what it is.
Right.
But hold on. It implies a fight, like a refusal to let go, a determination to overcome challenges.
I never thought of it that way. So even seemingly simple phrases can be like packed with this cultural baggage.
Yeah.
This deep dive is making me rethink everything I thought I knew about English.
It's amazing, isn't it? Language learning is not just about memorizing rules and vocabulary. It's about understanding different ways of seeing the world, different ways of expressing yourself.
Like learning a whole new cultural code.
Exactly.
Okay, well, looking back at our source material, there are a few verbs that just sound kind of weird to me, like take in, we talked about it earlier, in the context of learning. But I'm seeing it used in another example. That's totally different.
You've stumbled upon another fascinating thing about phrasal verbs. Their ability to like shapeshift and take on multiple meanings.
Okay.
Take in. It's a perfect example. It can mean absorbing information, like we said, but it can also mean to provide shelter to someone.
Like if you take in a stray animal.
Yeah, exactly. Or it can mean to deceive someone.
Okay.
Or even to alter a piece of clothing to make it smaller.
Hold on. So I could take in a stray cat, take in a lecture on astrophysics, and also get taken in by a con artist. That's a lot for one verb.
It is. But if you think about it, each meaning has this subtle connection to the core idea of taking something in.
I guess so.
Whether it's information or a living being or a false impression, it's all about incorporating something external into your experience.
Okay, that makes sense. But how am I supposed to know which meaning is intended?
Context is everything. The surrounding words, the tone of voice, even the speaker's body language can give you clues.
So it's like being a detective, piecing together the clues.
Exactly.
This is fun.
It is. And the more you immerse yourself in the language, the better you'll get at recognizing those subtle cues.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like a linguistic Sherlock Holmes on the case of cracking the phrasal verb code.
That's a great way to think about it.
This is making me realize just how much we rely on unspoken communication to make sense of language. It's not just about the words themselves, it's about the whole context.
That's such a key insight. Language is so much more than just a set of symbols. It's this dynamic, ever-evolving system of meaning-making. It's deeply embedded in our social and cultural experiences.
Okay, I'm officially feeling like a phrasal verb explorer, venturing into uncharted linguistic territory.
I love that. What other weird and wonderful verbs are you eager to unravel?
Well, looking back at our list, there's one that kind of gives me the creeps. Look out!
Oh yeah, that one definitely evokes a sense of unease.
It's like you're sensing danger lurking around the corner.
Exactly. It can be a literal warning, like, look out, that car is coming too fast.
Right.
But it can also have a more metaphorical meaning, suggesting a need for vigilance or a sense of foreboding.
Like look out for warning signs in that relationship.
Precisely.
So it's not just about physical safety, but also about being aware of potential emotional pitfalls.
Exactly. It's about being alert, paying attention to your surroundings, and trusting your instincts.
It's like a linguistic echo of our ancestors' need to stay vigilant, to protect themselves from threats.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Our language carries within it these traces of our ancestors' experiences, their fears, their triumphs, their struggles.
It's like these phrasal verbs are like linguistic
I
fossils,
love that analogy.
uncovering ancient secrets hidden within the language.
And what's even more remarkable is how these ancient roots can still resonate with us today.
Yeah, like look out might have originated from warning calls from our ancestors, but it's just as relevant in our modern world, where we face a constant barrage of information and a need to stay alert to potential threats.
It's like we're carrying a piece of our evolutionary history with us every time we use these verbs.
Okay, I'm officially both intrigued and a little bit spooked by these phrasal verbs, but I have a feeling there's still more to uncover.
Oh, absolutely. We've only just scratched the surface of this fascinating linguistic landscape.
Well, I'm ready to keep diving deeper. What other evocative phrasal verbs are out there just waiting to be unearthed?
Let's delve into one that often evokes a sense of excitement and anticipation. Go on.
Okay, go on.
It's a simple phrase, but it carries with it a sense of momentum and forward movement, like a journey unfolding before our very eyes.
Like you're being swept along by a current. Things are happening whether you're ready for them or not.
Exactly. Go on captures that sense of inevitability. It can describe a show continuing despite technical difficulties, a journey progressing despite obstacles, or even a relationship enduring through challenges.
So it's not just about physical movement. It's about that inner drive to persevere, that resilience that keeps us going even when things get tough.
Exactly. It's about tenacity, refusal to give up, keeping things moving forward.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. We've explored phrasal verbs related to caution, like look out, and now we're looking at ones that convey a sense of momentum, like go on. It's like we're mapping out the emotional terrain of the English language, one phrasal verb at a time.
It's like we're creating a linguistic atlas, charting the peaks and valleys of human experience through these versatile verbs.
I love that.
And go on is a perfect example of how a simple phrase can carry so much weight.
This deep dive is making me realize just how much resilience and adaptability are baked into our language. We have words for those moments when we have to keep going, even when we're not sure where we're headed.
It's true. Language is a powerful tool for navigating the complexities of life, for finding meaning and purpose, even in the midst of uncertainty.
Okay, I'm feeling incredibly inspired by this exploration of phrasal verbs. They're not just grammatical structures, they're expressions of the human spirit.
I couldn't agree more.
This is making me appreciate language on a whole new level.
It's amazing how these seemingly simple phrases can be so profound.
Well, this has been an incredible journey so far, but I'm sure there are more phrasal verb adventures waiting for us.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's take a deep breath and get ready to dive even deeper into this linguistic wonderland.
All right. Let's shift gears a bit and explore a phrasal verb that often evokes a sense of disappointment and frustration. Give up.
Give up.
Oh.
That one's tough. It's like that feeling of throwing in the towel, admitting defeat when the obstacles just seem too big.
Exactly. It often signifies like the end of a struggle, the relinquishing of hope, the acceptance of failure.
Yeah, doesn't sound very optimistic.
But it's important to remember that it's not always a negative thing.
Oh, really? You're saying there are times when giving up can actually be a positive choice?
Absolutely. Sometimes it's about recognizing when a battle is no longer worth fighting, when it's time to redirect your energy towards something more fulfilling.
So it's not about weakness, it's about wisdom.
Exactly. It can be a moment of liberation, a recognition that sometimes letting go is actually the bravest and most compassionate act.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. It's like you're reframing the whole concept of giving up, turning it from a symbol of defeat into a symbol of self-awareness.
Precisely. It's about discernment, knowing when to persevere and when to surrender, when to hold on and when to let go.
That's deep. Okay, so give up is a phrasal verb with a split personality. It can be both a symbol of defeat and a symbol of liberation, depending on the context.
Exactly, and this just highlights how nuanced and complex phrasal verbs can be. They're not just simple actions. They're expressions of our emotional states, our values, and our beliefs about how to navigate the world.
Okay, this deep dive is making me realize how much wisdom and compassion are embedded in our language. We have words for our struggles, for our moments of strength and our moments of surrender, and that's pretty amazing.
Absolutely. Language is a powerful tool for self-understanding and self-acceptance. And with phrasal verbs like give up, we can navigate the complexities of life with more awareness and grace.
Okay. I'm feeling both challenged and encouraged by this exploration of phrasal verbs, but I have a feeling there's still more to uncover.
You're right. We've covered a lot of ground today, but this is really just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole universe of phrasal verbs out there, each with its own unique story to tell.
Well, I'm ready to keep diving deeper. What other evocative phrasal verbs are waiting to be unearthed?
Let's transition to a phrasal verb that often evokes a sense of disappointment and disillusionment. Let down. It's a phrase that captures that feeling of having our trust broken, our expectations unmet, our hopes dashed.
Ooh, yeah, let down. It's like that sinking feeling when someone we rely on fails to deliver, when a promise is broken, when we're left feeling betrayed and hurt.
Exactly. Let down perfectly encapsulates that sense of disappointment and hurt that arises when our trust is violated.
So it could be used to describe a friend who cancels plans at the last minute, a partner who fails to keep a commitment, or even a leader who betrays the public's trust.
Precisely. It's about that breach of trust, that feeling of being let down by someone we thought we could depend on. And what's interesting is that let down often implies a sense of vulnerability on the part of the person who's been let down.
Right. It's like you're putting yourself out there trusting someone, and then they drop the ball, leaving you feeling exposed and hurt.
Exactly. And this vulnerability is often what makes the experience of being let down so painful. It's a reminder that trust is a precious thing. And when it's broken, it can be really difficult to rebuild.
This deep dive is making me realize just how much our language is shaped by our social experiences. We've developed words for the things that matter most to us in our relationships, and let down is a prime example. It reflects our deep need for connection, our dependence on others, and our vulnerability to betrayal.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Our language carries within it these traces of our social evolution, our need for connection, our vulnerability to betrayal, our capacity for forgiveness. And phrasal verbs, with their often emotional resonance and their ability to capture complex social dynamics, are a particularly rich source of these linguistic insights.
Okay, I'm feeling both vulnerable and validated by this exploration of phrasal verbs, but I have a feeling there's still more to uncover.
You're absolutely right. We've covered a lot of ground today, but we've only just begun to scratch the surface of this fascinating linguistic landscape. There are so many more phrasal verbs out there, each with its own unique story to tell.
Well, I'm ready to keep diving deeper. What other evocative phrasal verbs are waiting to be unearthed?
Let's explore a phrasal verb that often evokes a sense of mystery and intrigue. Look into. It suggests a process of investigation, of delving deeper into a situation to uncover the truth.
Look into. It's like that feeling of being a detective, piecing together clues, following leads, and gradually unraveling a complex puzzle.
Exactly. Look into captures that spirit of curiosity and determination, that drive to understand the hidden workings of a situation. You might hear someone say, I'm going to look into that problem, or the police are looking into the incident.
So it could be used to describe a journalist investigating a story, a scientist exploring a new phenomenon, or even a friend trying to understand a puzzling behavior.
Precisely. It's about that quest for knowledge, that desire to make sense of the world around us, to peel back the layers and uncover the truth.
This is making me realize just how much our language is shaped by our innate curiosity. We've developed words for our explorations, for our attempts to make sense of the unknown, and look into is a perfect example. It reflects our deep-seated need to understand, to explore, to solve mysteries.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Our language carries within it the traces of our intellectual evolution, our need to understand, our thirst for knowledge, our capacity for discovery. And phrasal verbs, with their often active and engaging imagery, are a particularly effective way of expressing this inquisitive side of human nature.
Okay, I'm feeling both curious and inspired by this exploration of phrasal verbs, but I have a feeling there's still more to uncover.
You're absolutely right. We've covered a lot of ground today, but we've only just begun to scratch the surface of this fascinating linguistic landscape. There are so many more phrasal verbs out there, each with its own unique story to tell.
Well, I'm ready to keep diving deeper. What other evocative phrasal verbs are waiting to be unearthed?
Let's wrap up this segment with a phrasal verb that evokes the sense of renewal and transformation, make up. It's a phrase that carries multiple meanings, but in the context of relationships, it signifies the act of reconciliation, of mending broken bonds and restoring harmony.
Make up. It's like that feeling of piecing together a shattered vase, carefully gluing the fragments back together, creating something new and beautiful out of the broken pieces.
Exactly. Make up beautifully captures that process of healing and forgiveness, of acknowledging past hurts while choosing to move forward together.
So it could be used to describe friends reconciling after a disagreement, partners resolving a conflict, or even nations seeking peace after a period of hostility.
Precisely. It's about that willingness to let go of resentment, to extend compassion, to rebuild trust, and create a stronger, more resilient connection.
Wow. This deep dive is leaving me with a profound sense of hope and appreciation for the power of language to heal and unite.
And that's the true magic of phrasal verbs.
Yeah.
They're more than just words. They're expressions of the human spirit capturing our capacity for love, forgiveness, and transformation.
I'm feeling incredibly grateful for this exploration of phrasal verbs. They've opened my eyes to a whole new dimension of language and a deeper understanding of myself and the world around me.
And that's what makes language learning so rewarding. It's a journey of self-discovery, a continuous exploration of the infinite possibilities of human expression.
Well, I'm ready for the next chapter of this linguistic adventure. What other phrasal verb insights await us?
You know, it's fascinating how phrasal verbs can sometimes reflect a cultural perspective. We were just talking about hold on earlier, and it's a great example of how a simple phrase can reveal deeper cultural values.
Ooh, here's where it gets really interesting. So you're saying that even our language choices can reveal deeper cultural values. I'm all ears.
Absolutely. In some cultures, it's more common to express patience and acceptance of circumstances you can't control. You might hear phrases like, let's wait and see, or it is what it is.
Right.
But hold on implies a fight, a refusal to let go, a determination to overcome challenges. It reflects a certain cultural mindset, a belief in taking action and shaping one's own destiny.
Wow, so even seemingly simple phrases can be packed with this cultural baggage. This deep dive is making me rethink everything I thought I knew about English.
That's the beauty of language learning, isn't it? It's not just about memorizing rules of vocabulary. It's about understanding different ways of seeing the world, different ways of expressing oneself.
It's like learning a whole new cultural code. I'm starting to feel like I need a whole new mental map for navigating this phrasal verb territory.
Don't worry, we're here to guide you. What other phrasal verb mysteries are you eager to unravel?
Well, looking back at our source material, there are a few verbs that just sound kind of weird to me, like take in. We talked about it in the context of learning, but I'm seeing it used in another example that's totally different.
You've stumbled upon another fascinating thing about phrasal verbs. Their ability to shape shift and take on multiple meanings. Take in is a perfect example. It can refer to absorbing information, like we said, but it can also mean to provide shelter to someone.
Like if you take in a stray animal.
Yeah, exactly. Or it can mean to deceive someone,
Okay.
or even to alter a piece of clothing to make it smaller.
Hold on. So I could take in a stray cat, take in a lecture on astrophysics, and also get taken in by a con artist. That's a lot for one verb.
It is.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, each meaning has this subtle connection to the core idea of taking something in.
Okay, I guess so.
Whether it's information, a living being, or a false impression, it's all about incorporating something external into your experience.
Okay, that makes sense. But how am I supposed to know which meaning is intended?
Context is key. The surrounding words, the tone of voice, even the speaker's body language can give you clues.
So it's like being a detective piecing together the clues.
Exactly. And the more you immerse yourself in the language, the better you'll get at recognizing those subtle cues.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like a linguistic Sherlock Holmes on the case of cracking the phrasal verb code.
I love it. It's like we're on this grand linguistic adventure together, uncovering the hidden meanings and cultural nuances of these fascinating verbs.
This is making me realize just how much we rely on unspoken communication to make sense of language. It's not just about the words themselves, it's about the whole context in which they're uttered.
That's such a key insight. Language is so much more than just a set of symbols. It's this dynamic, ever-evolving system of meaning-making that's deeply embedded in our social and cultural experiences.
Wow, this deep dive has been a whirlwind of linguistic discovery. I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for the power and complexity of phrasal verbs.
Me too. And we've only just scratched the surface. What's remarkable is how these verbs can be both incredibly specific and surprisingly versatile.
It's like they're these tiny linguistic superheroes capable of transforming meaning and conveying subtle nuances with just a few words.
Exactly. And the more you learn about them, the more you realize just how much they enrich our communication. They add color, texture, and depth to our language.
Okay, before we wrap up, I have to ask, you're the expert here. What's your favorite phrasal verb from our list? The one that just sparks joy for you?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
There are so many great ones. But I think I have to go with figure out there's something so satisfying about that moment of clarity of finally cracking the code and understanding something that was previously confusing.
It's like that aha moment when a light bulb goes off in your head.
Precisely. And it's not just about solving problems or acquiring knowledge figure out. It can also apply to understanding people deciphering their motivations, and navigating the complexities of relationships.
So it's about that sense of discovery, of making connections and finding meaning in the world around us.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown and the challenge of making sense of it all.
I love that. It feels very optimistic and empowering.
And that's what language learning should be, a journey of empowerment, of expanding our horizons and discovering new ways to connect with ourselves and the world around us.
Well said. I think we've figured out quite a bit about phrasal verbs today.
We have, and this is just the beginning for our listeners. There's a whole universe of phrasal verbs out there waiting to be explored.
So what's our takeaway for our listeners today? What's the one thing we want them to remember about these tricky but fascinating verbs?
Don't be afraid to experiment, to make mistakes and to learn from them. The more you use phrasal verbs, the more comfortable and confident you'll become.
It's like anything else, practice makes perfect, or at least progress.
Exactly. And mastering phrasal verbs will not only improve your fluency, but it will also deepen your understanding of the English language and its cultural nuances.
Okay, folks, there you have it. A deep dive into the weird, wonderful, and sometimes downright baffling world of phrasal verbs. I hope you're feeling as energized and enlightened as I am.
And remember, this is just the beginning of your phrasal verb journey. Keep exploring, keep experimenting, and most importantly, keep having fun with language.
Until next time, happy learning.